guys, welcome to another one of our videos. I'm the Worm, this is the Proton, and today we are going to be reviewing a product we did receive free of charge, but this will not affect our review in any way. It will be a true and honest review as always.
As always, because we don't lie.
Where do we get our item from today?
Today we received this from charliesbakeshop.co.uk, again free of charge, not going to matter. What we're doing today is something that personally, although simple, I've been looking forward to for quite some time.
Yes.
I have been looking forward to this. Today we're doing the IGO-L. Okay, very nice little jibber, brand new in the case, and a little bit of spares with it as well. We're going to go through that. I'm going to actually do a rewick on camera for you and everything, just because we love you lots. Again, we do want to. I do want to say a big thanks to Charlie at charliesbakeshop.co.uk. Those of you who watch our stuff regularly will know that we do tell people to get onto Charlie's. Very good site, lovely prices on there. Again, we've mentioned this in the past. Charlie did put on a forum that he was willing to match any prices you could find anywhere else. Charlie, hopefully you're watching this. So I'm going to link it to you by email anyway. If that is still the case, please let us know, and obviously everyone else who's watching this video, just because if you are still doing that, I want to say you are awesome for doing that. If you're not, you were awesome for doing that, and you're still a wicked bloke. So yeah, big thanks for that. I don't really know what else to say on this. I want to rewick this thing so badly. I will talk for a bit to hold him out for a little bit, because he can sit there and go for it. Right, honestly, I've waited quite a while for this. This is actually, to be honest with you, the IGO-L, when we first started seeing drippers and going, that looks like a massive inconvenience, a bit of a pain in the bum. It was when initially we first started looking at wrapping coils and stuff before the RBAs. This is one of the most talked about things we would come across, and we did toy buying this a lot. Me more so than him, because I just love the way it looks.
It does. It does look really good on the barrow. Do you want to?
I haven't wrapped it yet, so no. It's happening on the video.
It's happening
on the close-up.
But we expect this to look really nice on the barrow. Is a little mod he's got, his Corolla. Yeah. He is looking to wrap this in dual coil, not today, but eventually dual coil.
I'm not going to dual coil it in front of the camera, just because sometimes things go wrong and it takes ages and I get the hump. Whereas this should be a beautifully simple setup, and it's going to be nice and easy for me to do, hopefully.
Right, we're going to pop down there now, guys, and
I'm going to give it a rewick for you guys, and then we're going to come back up and do lots of chin waggery. Chin waggery. Chin waggery is the phrase of the day. So yeah, guys, we're going to slap down. I'm going to unwrap it all for you, show you what you get, and then we're going to rewick it, or we're going to wick it because there's no wick installed in it. But you do get some bits and bobs which we'll go through in a second. So we'll be down in a second. Such a ho, honestly. This is the kind of bell end I have to contend with.
No, he's lying.
Right, guys. Sorry, guys. I am distracted by a complete tool in my face because he's off camera. He's obviously gone hyperactive and decided that it's payback time for all the times I've done it to him. Basically, guys, we're going to open up the IGO-L. I'm ignoring the fact he's trying to bog me out. This is the IGO-L. Very simple. It's basically just like someone's cut the top of an Aga. But that is the IGO-L as a dripper. You do get a little goodie bag with it. I'm going to open this up and show you what you get inside there now. Alright. All you get in here. What you get in here. Oh, hello. There's a screw. There's your spare screw, alright, in case you do lose one, which I think is going to come in very handy for me. You also get a nice little bit of a canthol. It might be nichrome, but I think that's canthol. And whatever it is not 32 gauge because it's slightly thinner. So that looks like a high resistance canthol or nichrome to me. You get a couple of spare O-rings, which is obviously always good. And you get a little bit of wick for your first time wick. I'm not actually going to use any of that. I'm going to use my own stuff just because that's how I do it. I'm comfortable with what I use. So we're going to clear all that to the side. And what I've got here is a bit of pre-flamed 32 gauge canthol. There is, well, I haven't actually cut this yet, but some silica wick. Let me just take the Aga. See, it's that much like an Aga. The IGO-L open. Take it open, take it apart, and work out what kind of setup we're going to get on this. I think, personally, I'm going to do something like that. I think I'm going to do something like that and wrap it round. So I'm going to need around about that much. Probably a bit too much there, guys, but it's always better to be a bit excessive than to not have enough. Stick that back in now. And then it's a simple case of wrapping a coil. I think that's about as hard as this is going to be. What I'm going to do is I'm going to horseshoe this over like that. I'm going to put that one right there, and literally a case of 1, 2, 3, and a 4th. I think I'm going to go with 4 on this one. I say 4, but that's actually 5 up here. Professional as always. Okay, so I've gone for a 5 wrap coil. It was going to be a 4, but it's now 5. I've wrapped these coils. I'm just going to make sure that their spacing is alright. I don't worry too much about spacing before I stick it in the device, because it always tends to change when I put it in the device and I start ripping coils around and whatever else. I should point out, guys, I'm having a particularly shaky day, so if I can do this now, then so can you. No two ways about that. Screws are in there quite tight, so I'm just going to slacken them off. You've got quite a nice well in here, alright, and you've got your positive in the middle, your negative on the outside, I'm guessing, because the positive is directly in line with the 510. Now, as far as this goes, it's going to be literally a simple case of get that on there.
Hopefully not so simple, because then we can all laugh.
You're not funny at all. Put it tight. Now, when you tighten these screws down, it is going to want to rip your coil into it. So just allow for that. Make sure you've got a little bit of slack. And then it's the same on this side here. Same on your negative. Just literally, shaky hands. Get that on there. Screw it down. I think that is about right for me.
Would you like to test that before you?
I'm gonna adjust my coils first. Adjust my coils. Always make sure your coils are nicely spaced, guys, just because it's going to help with consistency, and you don't want to have hot spots. I am going to test it, but I'm going to snip these wires off first because otherwise it won't be a proper testing. 1, 2 bits of candle snipped off. Just half-inch worms of ammo here. Give this a quick ohms test. 1.7 ohms, which is lovely. What voltage is this on? We don't know, but the coil seems to be heating okay.
Do you want to show me those coils quickly?
I will do once they're not so sloppy. Worm's obviously not doing his job with his auto-focused or all manual focusing today, because you probably have seen none of that. Let me just check these coils myself, guys. Okay, and there you go. Coils are firing all nicely. So what I'm going to do now is literally take the end of this off, pretty similar to a DDA if you've used a DDA. Take the end of that off there like that, and I think I'm actually happy with the length of that. I might snip it down slightly just so they're both the same length, but overall not a bad length. That's what she said. 1, 2, and then basically I'm going to wrap that like that. I think, well, shall I prime this? I'll prime this now. Let's prime this now. Got some Red Bull flavour. I'll give this a wee prime. Those of you who have watched our videos before, you've probably seen this. Just literally run your juice along the length of your wick until your wick goes translucent, which hopefully you can make out. Can you make that out, Worm? Can you?
Pretty much.
There you go. So your wick goes translucent, and it's literally a case of I'm going to basically grab this body and plonk her on now. And with the IGO, you've got the advantage that this thing will take loads of juice. They reckon about 10 to 15 drops. So I'm going to bang 10 drops in here. Said 10, and I decided to do 15 halfway through because I could. So I've just put 15 drops in now. Firing away nicely. Bit of vapour coming out the top, as you can see. And that is how you re-wick an IGO-L. I've never done it before. You've just watched me do it for the first time. And it was beautifully simple. So we're going to go back up now to us, have a little vape, and see how it goes.
Hey guys, welcome back up.
I forgot what I was going to say.
I had something, but no. But I was going to say, Mr. Prawn has re-squirted a lot of juice in there, probably about 20 drips worth, because he did kind of go.
But it is holding it lovely. It was off a needle nose bottle as well, so they're not the size of like bottle drops. Got it stuck on the Vamo. We're now running at 1.8, 1.7 ohms again. It's up and down a little bit after juice and a little bit of moving around. And I've got it set to 4.3 volts, so not too high. It's not as high as I usually go. Lovely. Loads and loads and loads of vapour off that. One thing I did forget to point out in the video, guys, is like the IGO, you've got your air hole in the side, it's actually in the body, so it's not bottom fed. You can sit it flush on your devices if they enable you to, but just make sure you put that air hole where you're going to need it to stick it next to the coil. Don't stick it on the other side because you'll get a weak vape and go, it's not that good. Because you haven't lined up your air hole.
Which is pretty much what you did.
Maybe. I'll come off the video and went, I forgot to say about the air hole because I was a bit like, I've got a rewick in state of mind. And yeah, so line the air hole up and it's lovely stuff. As you see, you get plenty of spares of it. You definitely get plenty of vapour off of it. Flavour's pretty spot on as well, to be honest with you. I think we'll do our little 5-point hit list straight away. It gives a little kick, doesn't it? That?
It's very warm.
It's a lovely, lovely warm vape. But again, you can tailor that by moving your air hole. But it's actually sort of Zeus A7 level of warmth off of that vape, but the body doesn't get quite as hot. So that's a good thumbs up because I like a warm vape. 5-point hit list, first of all, looks, well, it's on the Vamo. I've stuck my little drip tip in, so it does blend quite nicely. I've stuck it on my mechanical mod as well. It's just the battery's a little bit flat, but it could be running on that. Looks for me, I actually love how this looks. I really enjoy this kind of stainless steel look. So for me, I'm giving that a 10.
For me, it's it does still look really, really good, but I'm not so much a stainless steel person. Mainly my drip tip. So I mean, see that in a minute. To me, that looks better.
He's weird.
But I do like the look of it.
But drip tips will always tailor, wouldn't they? I mean, at the end of the day, they're called drip tips. You can change them around. It's kind of what they're for.
The device as it is, it looks really, really nice. It's clean. It's is it polished?
Yeah, it's definitely polished.
It's polished. So yeah, it's a 9.5. It is really good looking. It really is.
Good stuff. Usability as a dripper. I love drippers.
It's only a dripper.
Yeah, it's only As a, no, but I mean as usability as a dripper in general is what I think is massive arse. I love drippers. We both do. We use drippers predominantly, so this is definitely a good one for us to do. Now, we've said before the DDA from Totally Wicked is probably one of the easiest rewicks for a dripper. Maintain that, especially as soon as you can buy the coils. Usability for me though, I'm going to give this one, for me, a 10. For most, an 8.5. The only reason I'm saying that is because I've been rewicking an A7 recently, and in theory it should be easier. And we've said they are easy to rewick. They are. You put it through the post, you screw it down. But there's a lot more adjustment on coil in the A7. It's harder to do it because you're in between two posts. With this, I literally slapped it on the side, screwed it down, and it is only screws. It's around the screw. There's nothing you can do about that. I didn't find that difficult at all. So even as a starter dripper, you're probably still not going to have too many problems wicking this thing. So for usability for me, 10. For novice, 8.5.
I haven't rewicked it because obviously he's just rewicked it and used it, but like we say, we do use a lot of drippers. We've got quite a few of them now. We've got
about 10 different drippers between us.
There we go. So yeah, compared to like the A7 and the Zeus, it is a lot easier. It really is. Just because it's less adjustment over there. It's twiddling about.
More space to do adjustment. Yes, you've got to use screws, and that's what turns a lot of people away. But it's not hard.
Most drippers you are going to have to use screws. There's only the DDA that we know of at the moment that uses that little twist feature. So yeah, for me it would be a 10. It's really easy. It's not hard at all really for me. But for a starting dripper, maybe an 8. For someone who maybe using a DDA now and thinking about moving on to one of these, 9.5 is slightly more, but it's only the case of you've got to hold a screwdriver while you're holding the wire there. That is the only difference. So as long as you're good with both hands, you're going to be a 10. But for most of you out there that don't really use screwdrivers or a little bit scared of a screwdriver, I don't know who you are, maybe the women that are looking at drippers, 9.5.
A little bit sexist, but okay.
No, it's not.
Maintenance. It's 3/4 of an inch big. I believe it's about 19-18 mil wide, and it's 2 parts. You pop the bottom off, you pop the top off. You don't include your drip tip.
Screws.
The 2 screws, but you'd screw them down in terms of, well, I mean, maybe losing screws is probably the only bad thing about this. 10. I mean, all you've got to do is... But you do
get a spare one with it. So.
You do get a spare screw with it, so if you do lose one, it's not the end of the world. 10 for maintenance for me, because literally all you've got to do is go wash it and re-wick it. This, even comparison
you could probably even wash it while the wicking there and go again.
Yeah, DDA is, if anything, I'll say slightly more maintenance than this. Only very fractionally, just because you've got that air hole issue, the air hole at the bottom, and you can leak out of it. But maintenance for me on this is a clear-cut, irrefutable 10.
It is a 10. There is nothing to that device. It is literally a base with some O-rings on and the actual top canister. What else can I say there? There is nothing. That is it.
Flavour and vapour of that for me. Flavour, plenty of flavour. We've used this juice in an A7. I have to say it was marginally stronger in the A7. But flavour for me is a 9.5 with this device. Vapour, I would go as far as saying it's actually better than my A7 and Zeus. Not by a lot, but what it loses in flavour, it makes up for in vapour, if you know what I mean. So all round, the vapour's a 10. It's very. Oh, he's tried it out.
I didn't try it. I've been vaping it for 20 minutes.
20 minutes. But it was only 6 minutes and 40 seconds.
Well,
plus 2 minutes beforehand.
That's like.
So yeah, for me, vapour is a 10. Flavour is a 9.5, but it's only knocking half off because of things like the Zeus when it works perfectly, and the A7 when you works out perfectly, and the Baron. Very good.
I can't really argue with those stats. The Vapour is more than the A7 and the Zeus. It just is. I mean, it's probably to do with the way the air hole works. Not really sure how they differ so much, but you are losing a little bit of flavour off that, probably because of where the air hole is again. But it's not like a drastic amount. We're talking like minuscule measurements here.
Yeah.
It is literally slightly a bit more vapour, slightly less flavour than this. So take that as you will.
With the adjustable air hole though, I'm getting quite a bit more throaty off this device.
Definitely.
On the same juice, which can be a good thing or a bad thing depending on what juice and what you like. I am quite liking this level of throat hit on this juice at the minute. So bear that in mind. Overall for me, this thing costs £10.99. Without a drip tip admittedly. Compare it to something like the Zeus, which Worm's just running on the floor. Compare it to the Zeus, they're both the same device in terms of what they are, but they couldn't really be more different. This is short and stumpy, that's sort of long and tall, air holes on the side, air holes underneath the coil, screws, posts. That's actually several pieces. If you actually undid everything, you probably have about 10 different pieces, but realistically one of those pieces is 6 that never has to take apart. 10. I am really liking this thing. It is everything I want it to be and a little bit more. So 10 for me.
It is. It's a good all-round dripper, but I'm going to knock 0.5 of it. I'm going to give it a 9.5. But I will tell you why. I mean, mainly because it is more for like your Vamo style battery. I mean, imagine this on a little Ego battery. It's going to look out of place.
I was going to get onto that.
This on that. It looks out of place, but not as much as that would on this sort of thing, you know? I mean, you can go too small and it doesn't look horribly wrong. You go bigger on a smaller device, it's going to look a little bit So just that on that side alone. But if you're using like your mods, like basically your variable voltage, Vamos, your Ferraris, your I forgot what the name is. I-something. I-Taste. I-Taste, which is a little bit more square, which is also very
I-Taste VV, not MPV.
There we go. But that will look fine on them. But on your Eagle style batteries, probably not where you want to go in terms of drippers. You probably want to go like your Zeus or your A7 because they do stylize it a bit more. But it is still a 9.5 because it does work really well.
Ignore the fact that he's on an Ego battery with that Zeus. Typically, he would never put that Zeus on that Ego battery. It's only just because it was there and he's like, I'm a boss. So yeah, your Zeus and your A7 are going to blend much better with your Ego style batteries. Personally, I see dripping on an Ego style battery a bit pointless because it's not giving you anywhere near as much performance. I mean, Worm is getting vapour off that, he is getting flavour off that for sure, and it's definitely better than like your clearomizers and whatever else. It's definitely a better way to do it. But I think if you're going to drip realistically, you're going to want something a bit more on an Ego, something with a bit of variable voltage, or maybe a spinner, I suppose. Maybe a spinner. But for me, it's just an all-round lovely device. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. Been toying with the idea of buying one. I've always veered off and bought something else. To all them guys that we've just recommended the Zeus to, maintain that it's a looks thing really when it comes between these two. Flavour slightly better, vapour slightly better. They look completely different. They're going to fit different devices. I personally prefer the way this sets up, and I have got an A7. Main reason is the centre pin, guys. You've watched our Zeus and A7 videos, you'll know what the issue with the centre pin is. This is a solid centre pin, does what it says on the tin, and it is beautifully simple. And I like simple things because I'm a simple man. So just all round good for me. I'm really happy with this. So definitely recommending this. I don't really know what more.
Do want to say, like, you did say like people who bought the Zeus, yeah, still sticking with the Zeus sort of thing. It's still a really, really good mod. It's still the same as that pretty much. But I mean, but for me, the slight bit of flavour, I still prefer this over that. For me, it's not much, but it is a slight difference. So
I think part of that's on the juice, because this Red Bull was nice, but it wasn't our favourite juice, was it? I think until we've run like one of our favourite juices through it, so we might bang the orange and mango in these in a bit and kind of have a proper tally up side by side and see where we think they're sitting. I actually can't remember a thing about what I was going to say.
I'm glad I'm not the only one today.
Honestly, it's just it goes in and it goes straight back out again. Sorry, that's what I was going to say. The flavour difference for me, this is going off memory though, we're not side by side in them. I actually prefer this. Again, as well as you said, it comes down to a personal point of view, what you think you're going to like. And obviously, when it comes to this stuff, you should always go with what you think you're going to like. We can recommend something to the T, and unless it looks appealing to you, it's pointless buying it. It is pointless buying it.
I mean, for me, if I had one of these, I would put it on this and only this. But I am kind of judgmental to my looks. I do prefer my looks before a device. That how it performs, I will go over looks over a lot of things. But I do buy the stuff that works, obviously, as well, sort of thing. So
doesn't buy stuff that's crap because it looks good, but he'll make sure it looks good before he thinks about buying it. Personally, I love how this looks.
No, it does. It looks really good. But I would only use that on my van because it doesn't really stylize anything else.
So what I'll be doing is probably sticking it on this mechanical, and it does look good on this mechanical. I can show you. And I imagine I'm going to be running some seriously low res dual coils in this, and loving it. I love how that looks. I know it's slightly bigger than the funnel at the top. I just don't care.
But that's not so much of an overlay that you're getting from like your e-cig style battery sort of thing compared to that. So that still looks really good to me. I mean, yeah, it does. I mean, like I'm looking at it now and it's like all the notches you've got in his mod is mechanical mod. Sorry.
All the way, yeah, blend.
Like,
I think what you're trying to say is it blends
yeah.
all the way from the top. I mean, although not his style choice, stainless steel drip tip sort of blends with a body, which blends with a mod. It's a nice. I like things that all blend. So
if I was going to use that sort of mod and that sort of system, that's kind of what way I would go because then it all does look good together. It doesn't look so good separately to me, but together it does look like a full device. So.
Last leaving impression with this, really, I'm very, very happy with this. There will be a follow-up, don't doubt, on the whole flavour side of things because we are going from memory. I remember the Red Bull wasn't super duper strong, but it was slightly stronger than what I remember, but had been vaping sort of menthols and stuff all day. As a dripper, 11 quid, can't go wrong. Charlie's Vape Shop, excellent service as always, and they haven't been let down at all from anyone, so wicked site. So check it out. Obviously, we'll have the site up here, unless you're on a mobile device, you won't see it.
They are having a mid-May sale at the moment, so get yourself over there. There's 15% off on
everything. Mad May is the code. If you go to Charlie's site, you'll see it anyway. But go over to the site, 15% off everything, and they're very good prices anyway. So you'd actually get this for what, about under 9 quid, just over 9 quid. So you can't argue with that for 9 quid. The DDA is about £9, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
DDA is a lovely dripper. As a new starting dripper, wicked. And if you're moving from like your Kato tanks and your clearomizers, you're going to think, wow, that DDA is amazing. And it is compared to them. Not compared to this, not compared to the Zeus. These are going to knock the living daylights out of it. And for the extra sort of 40-50p, I'd definitely buy this. If you're comfortable with re-wicking it, that is kind of where we're leaving that. Yeah. I think we're getting to an end, guys. All I want to do quickly is just say a big thank you to all the folks at Charlie's Vape Shop, particularly Charlie, because I'd actually speak to him via email. And he was very, very helpful, very nice chap. So a big thank you to the guys at Charlie's Vape Shop for taking the time to talk to us, send it down to us for a review. And if you wanted to follow us on Twitter, you can do. It's Worm, big N or capital N, Proton, or @ Worm and Proton. And we've also got a Facebook group as well, and the Facebook group is
Worm and, which is the symbol for and, which is the ampersand, Proton dash chasing the perfect vape.
We'll link those both for you in the description because obviously someone can't remember them.
I can remember. It just took me some time. It was just like it just went.
One of them ones. It does seem to be a pattern that's emerging that it does just come in. I've got so,
I think it's because I'm hungry and I need some food. And he's been holding me off for ages. Like, want some food? Just do this one.
I wanted to crack this open all day though, so I've done it now. I'm so happy. Yeah. Thank you for watching, guys. I have been Mr. Proton. This has been The Worm. See you soon, guys.
Going to get my kebab. Bye.
Soon.